Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first ever JRPG Weekly update. I am Super Derek, and we've got some catching up to do, guys. We have, this is the first ever episode of the weekly update, so we're going to get everybody caught up here. So let's see, starting in 1986, there was this game called Dragon Quest that was announced. I'm just kidding. We're not going to go that far back, but we are going to start a couple of weeks back, and that does include some E3 news. So if you guys are already up to date with E3, some of this might sound familiar. Some of this may be news to you because I've also got some non-E3 related content in here as well. So without further ado, I am Super Derek, and here are some headlines from the last couple of weeks. At E3 this year, Nintendo has finally broken their silence regarding the new Fire Emblem game for Switch. The game is called Fire Emblem Three Houses. This tactical RPG will feature formations of troops supporting individual units on the battlefield and features 3 protagonists. The game is expected to launch exclusively on the Nintendo Switch in the spring of 2019. Now, when I saw the gameplay footage for this drop in the trailer, I thought it looked really good. And this was honestly one of the biggest highlights for me at E3. When they announced the new Fire Emblem game a long while back, I was kind of on the fence about whether or not it sounded good because I wasn't really into strategy RPGs at the time, but that has now changed, and this looks so phenomenal. I love the way that it zooms in when you're actually playing the game after you've selected your targets, and it actually shows you your units that assist, your troops that assist your units. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think. Now, also at E3, crowd favorite CD Projekt Red announced their upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 will in fact be a first-person RPG. This game is based on a pen and paper role-playing game called Cyberpunk 2020, which inspired games like Shadowrun. The game will take place in a retro-futuristic cyberpunk setting in the year 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is scheduled for release in June of 2019 for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. And I feel like this is going to be fantastic for us to have a first-person RPG because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed to find out that Fallout 76 is not going to be an RPG at all. So this is going to help fill in that void, and I'm sure lots of people are going to use it to fill that void. So thank you so much to CD Projekt Red for what looks like it's going to be a really amazing experience. Octopath Traveler is slated for July 13th, and with that just around the corner, less than a month away, Square Enix, for some reason, has released an updated demo of the game. The demo allows players to access each of the 8 protagonists and can play for up to 3 hours before being returned to the title screen. At that point, you can actually start up a new save file and play for another 3 hours if you would like. Or if you would rather, you can hold on to your existing save file and import it into the full retail of the release. Octopath Traveler is a Nintendo Switch exclusive developed by Square Enix and Acquire. I've actually been playing around with the new Octopath Traveler demo, and it is fantastic. It's a lot of fun to play. It's very beautiful, and I'm actually going to be talking about it at the end of the week in a new Experience Points video, so stick around for that. If you don't have a Switch, I've got a feeling this is going to be a system seller. The Steam release of Chrono Trigger received an update on June 6th. The user interface was updated to look much better on computer screens, and this comes on the heels of massive fan outcry after the game's release on Steam, which was criticized for its poor optimization for computer displays, controls, and apparent lack of any real effort. More updates are planned, with an update scheduled for later this month. Now, it's great to see that Square Enix is putting in the effort now to make this game shine. It's one of their crown jewels as a company, and one of the highest points in their Squaresoft legacy. And it's kind of a shame that it had to be mistreated first before they realized that they needed to put in more work into the release. So I'm glad that they are working to resolve things now. It's just a shame that they couldn't have done it before release. So those were the main headlines that came up over the last couple of weeks, but there were also a lot of new games announced and a lot of localizations for games that were announced that I'd like to talk about, starting with Namco Bandai, who announced at their Tales of Festival that they are beginning work on a new Tales game, which it's been a couple of years since their last release. And if they're only beginning work now, that's going to be a couple more years, I would think, from now at least, which is kind of a long delay for the Tales series, because for a long while, it seemed like every other year they were putting out a new one. This is going to be kind of a longer gap than usual, and this actually comes on the heels of the reveal that the Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition is coming to the West. This version contains previously missing content and many other extras that fans have been longing for since its original release 10 years ago. This is currently available for pre-order on Amazon for Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC for $49.99, but no release date has been mentioned yet. And on the heels of that announcement, the developers behind the PS3 fan translation patch have withdrawn their patch and have requested that others who are hosting the patch end distribution in the spirit of supporting the official release. And I have to say that must have been a really difficult decision for those developers. And I have to say that is really a classy move for those guys. I feel like fan translations are obviously a huge undertaking, and they have to have put in so much effort into that. But the fact that they were willing to withdraw that patch once a official method of playing the game has been announced, that takes a lot of integrity, and I think that the people who made that patch must just really be good people. So good on them. That's really classy of them to make the hard decision, you know? Nier Automata Become as Gods Edition by Platinum Studios was announced at E3 this year as coming to the Xbox One. It currently appears to be getting a digital-only release, though. This version of the game will include game expansion DLC and other digital extras. This game is currently available for pre-order for $49.99 from the Microsoft Store and will launch 1 week from today on the evening of June 25th, which is really fantastic news for all 5 of you JRPG fans who only own an Xbox One. Platinum Studios are also working on a new release for 2019. The game is called Babylon's Fall, and not much else is really known about it at this time. I'm including it in this update mostly because I'm hopeful that it will be an RPG of some sort, and that's kind of the vibe that the trailer that they showed off gives to me. However, it could simply be an action game like Bayonetta, and if that's the case, we still win. Babylon's Fall is currently slated for the PlayStation 4 and Steam in 2019, although I would expect delays, especially with their ongoing project Grand Blue Fantasy still in the works. During their E3 Direct, Nintendo announced Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country. This is an expansion to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Switch, which is expected to be released on September 14th for download. This offers a new story mode that takes place 500 years before the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A week after the digital release, the game will also receive a standalone physical release hitting store shelves, which is really cool because when I saw the trailer for the first time, I thought it looked amazing. It looked so good. And then they announced that it was DLC. I felt a little let down. I was like, oh, it's just DLC. But as it turns out, it looks like it's actually going to be a second story that takes place within the same world, the same engine. I don't know if it's going to be as expansive as the original or if it's just going to be kind of an expansion. But the fact that it's getting a full-on standalone release is pretty encouraging. This could be the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to Grand Theft Auto 3, you know? Who knows? This could be really cool. I'm looking forward to finding out for sure, and I have a feeling that the physical copy might not actually sell all that well, so I'm going to pick up a copy just because I feel like it's going to be probably a really nice collector's item down the road. The Wonder Boy series creator Ryuichi Nishiwaza is collaborating with Game Atelier to create a spiritual successor for his franchise called Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. The game is a side-scrolling adventure title with puzzle-solving elements and features hand-drawn animated sprites. The game is coming to all current generation platforms sometime in 2018. with a physical release planned for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. This next story was brought to my attention by Jonathan Mejia on Twitter. If you have news for RPGs and JRPGs you'd like to have covered here, please tweet them to me at SuperDerekRPGs with the hashtag SuperDerekNews, and I will give you the credit. Super Neptunia RPG is a side-scrolling RPG, and this is the first game in the Neptunia series to be developed by a Western studio, Brave Neptune, in Canada. The Neptunia series is notable for taking place in the world of game industry and features nations that represent video game consoles, and apparently is an allegory for the console wars. This game will feature English and Japanese voiceover options. The game is expected to come to the United States this fall on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. At their E3 conference, Bethesda has finally confirmed the rumors surrounding the new space RPG that have been floating around on the internet. Starfield is still in early development, so I don't expect to see anything new for the next couple of years. It's still in very early development. Also, to nobody's surprise, Bethesda has announced that yes, they are in fact working on an Elder Scrolls 6 title, but most importantly, as it turns out, the very special edition of Skyrim was more than just a funny skit. It apparently actually exists and is free for you to download on your Amazon Echo devices. Do you have an Amazon Echo device? And if you do, give it a shot and tell me what you think. A link will be in the video description. Nipponichi Software's Disgaea 1 Complete is a HD remaster that we will be getting in the West. Disgaea 1 Complete is an HD remaster that includes extra characters, improved visuals, and some quality of life improvements, and should be a great way to get into the popular, albeit infamously weird and addicting franchise. The game will land on Western shores in October 9th for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4. Also coming from NIS is their first-person dungeon crawler, Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. It will be coming to the United States in September of this year for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. Bandai Namco have announced a release date for the new franchise Code Vein. Code Vein is an action RPG that has quickly gained a reputation as an anime-inspired Souls-like game, and if the available gameplay footage is any indication, it's for good reason. Code Vein will see a worldwide release on September 27th and 28th for Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. This game, just from what I've seen, looks really cool, and I think there's not enough time. There's too many games, not enough time, not enough money. I really would like to get my hands on a copy of this to take a look at, though. And lastly, before E3, Square Enix announced that the Kingdom Hearts 3 game is finally getting an actual solid release date of January 29th, 2019, which is later than previously announced. This gives people like myself more time to catch up to the franchise, assuming that we have time to play other games, because there are so many games I gotta play, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna do it all, but I think we'll get through this together. And in RPG community news, a charity event called Final Fantasy V 4-Job Fiesta begins in just a few hours. The event runs through the end of summer and ends at the end of August. The charity event features players who stream Final Fantasy V with restrictions on the variety of job classes that they may use. The streamers who participate in the event collect donations for Child's Play, which seeks to improve the lives of children in pediatric hospitals and other child welfare facilities through the kindness and generosity of the video game community and the power of play. Last year, 5-Job Fiesta raised nearly $20,000 and is aiming to hit $25,000 this year. Find more details at 4jobfiesta.com. Links are in the video description. So thank you for joining me on the first ever episode of the JRPG Weekly Update. If you have news that you would like me to cover next week, please send them to me at SuperDerekRPGs with the hashtag SuperDerekNews, and I will try my best to cover that. This is a very brand new show, and the format is likely to change, so please leave your feedback down below, and we'll see what we can do to make this even better next time around. So until then, thank you for joining me. I am Super Derek, and this is news to me.